Okay, we're on Kuf Aleph, 101. Hadelet sheba muktzah. The muktzah is like a backyard, like a garage, where behind your house where you stored things. And they would have like doors that weren't like on a hinge. You would actually lift the door and put it into the space. Or chadokim shebepiritzu machzolis, or they would use even mats or reeds. Ein noal behem elam ken gvoim min haaretz. They have to be sort of suspended from hanging and above and not reaching the ground, because by fitting it into that space, it almost looks like you're building, like binyan. Viraminu says the Gemara, Delas anigreres, a dragging door, umaktzels anigreres, v'kankan anigrar, bizman shekshum utlim, when they're hanging, noyalim be'em b'Shabbos. You can close them on Shabbos, and it's not a binyan. Ve'in tzarach lamer b'yom tov, amar Abaya. That is a mutter b'sheyesh len seer. If they have a hinge on the door, because then it's clear that it's not a binyan, it's a door. And Rava Amar, even if they don't have it now, b'shaylands, as long as there's evidence that there was a hinge there, then it's a kli and not a binyan. Meitzer ask another steer. Delas anigreres, matzaz anigreres, v'kankan anigrar. Bisman shekshum utluyin, ugvoim in arts. As long as they're above the ground, I feel nima no alim behem. If in lav no alim behem, but if they're not, you can't. So abai metarz l'tamei, v'rava metarz l'tamei. Abai metarz l'tamei, o sheyesh len seer, or shebam naretz. It's either or. It's not to negate whether they have a hinge. Either they have a hinge, or they're hanging and suspended from the ground. Then it's clear that it's not binyan. Rava metarz l'tamei k'shaya len seer. There's evidence that they had a hinge. Oh, so it's either or. It's not to rule it out. Ton Rabbanon, soiche koitzin, you have a group of thorns or mats that were prepared to fill in a gap in the wall of a chutzner. So when they're tied to the chutzner wall, so you could then fit it into the space to close it off. It doesn't look like binyan. It's certainly on yontif. Tony Rabchia, Delas almana nigreris, a widow door. What's that? Eino alimbo, you can't use. What's echidami Delas almana? Ikdeamri dechad shipa. Made out of one plank. That looks like a boinet. It's like one piece of wood. That's why it's a widow. It doesn't have like a threshold on the bottom. Then it doesn't look like a door. That looks like a binyan. If you're building a fire, like a campfire, and you're taking logs and you're building up the campfire, you got to hold the logs on top first, but you got to hold them and then build from below. If you build from below, it looks like binyan. But from the bottom up, it's also. If you're piling up eggs, you got to hold the eggs on top and then build the eggs below you. Kidra, if you're creating metal sticks to put a pot on to cook, you got to do it the same. V'chein purya, a bed. V'chein chavita, and you're doing it with barrels. Amaleyahu minul Rav Yeshua ben Chananya. A min, we've learned, is like a Christian. Amaleyahu minul Rav Yeshua ben Chananya chidka. Like you're a thorn. Dichsiv, or you are thorns. Dichsiv b'hu toivam kechedek. The best of you are like a thorn. Amalei shatya. You fool, spiel a sefer dekor. You're straighter than a cover. That means even it's a praise. It's praiseworthy to be like a thorn. Ayishorim Shirashi says Ayishorim Shabanu Meginim Alenu Kasukkah. The straight ones among us protect us like a sukkah. Elamai Toivim Kechediku. So what does it mean that you're like a thorn? Kashem Shechatokim Aloga Meginim Alapirtza. Just like you can stick a mat of thorns into a defect in a wall of a chutzner. Just like so, the tzaddikim, the Talmidei Chachamim, the best of us also protect us. Davar acher, toivim kechedek, shema'atkin et umos ha'olam legehenna. They cause the other umos ha'olam to go to Gehenna. Shenamar klumi v'dushi bas-Sion ki kardei chasim barzel u'farsusai chasim nechusha v'dikos amim rabim. You will be the cause of the downfall of the many nations. Mishnah. Person shouldn't stand in Rishus HaYachid, reach out into the Rishus HaRabim and use a key in the Rishus HaRabim. Right? Rashi says, V'yito mafteach hamunach Rishus HaRabim. Right? You're in your house, you reach out and get a key that's in the Rishus HaRabim. V'yiftach bo pesach chanus and open up a door that's in the Rishus HaRabim. Now, even though you're walking less than 4 amos, what's wrong with it? Gzeira, because remember, you only also to walk 4 amos, here it's less. So we're concerned that you're going to pick up the key that's in the Rishus HaRabim and bring it inside to where you are. And vice versa. You shouldn't stand Rishus HaRabim, v'yiftach Rishus HaYachid. You have to build a wall like around the Rishus HaYachid that you will go into, and you have to stand there. That way, we're not worried that you're going to transfer from Rishus HaYachid to Rishus HaRabim, because you're going to be in Rishus HaYachid. There was a butcher market. They would reach out and use these keys that were in the Rishus HaRabim. So it's l'chora stira. Rabbi Yossi Omer shukshot samarim of it. No, it was wool, sellers of wool. So afraid to give Rabbanon. So the case of the Rabbanon of the markets of butchers, that's a Carmelist. Rameir started off by talking about Rishus HaRabim. And the Chachamim give us a story about the Carmelists. Amar Meir Rishus HaRabim Madrinu Carmelists. Amar Rabbi Bar Chanan Rav Yechnu Shalayim Ilmolid Loisen Inolos Balayla. If it wasn't for the fact that they closed the doors of Yerushalayim at night, it would be Rishus, but since the doors are closed at night, it's a Carmelist. So Rav Meir talks about Rishus HaRabim and the Chachamim respond about a Carmelist. Amar Rav Papa. That means when Yerushalayim's walls were intact and there were doors closing it in, then in Hanami, Yerushalayim had the status of a Carmelist. But after Yerushalayim was destroyed and there were openings in the walls, then it became a Rishus HaRabim again. Rava Amar, Seifa Ason L'Sharigina, that the Seifa is talking something about else. By a gate of a garden, which is a Carmelist. And this is how you have to read the Mishnah. Just like you can't stand in Rishus HaYachid and open up in a Rishus HaRabim, you can't stand in Rishus HaYachid and open up in a Carmelist. And vice versa, for Carmelist, Rishus HaYachid. Unless again, you make this annex of Rishus HaYachid, which is 10 Tvachim walls. Which was a Carmelist. Rabbi Yossi Omer wasn't a butcher, it was a shukshul someone. You have a gate that opens up into a garden. So if there's a gatehouse or guardhouse on the inside of the garden, so you can open and close from the inside. You can do the same from the outside. Now, if there's no gatehouse, I mean, you can do the Rosh Hashanah thing if the gatehouse is on the Rosh Hashanah side. If there's no gatehouse at all, Asur and Kan V'Kan. Then we follow the Mishnah. You can't stand in Rosh Hashanah and open in Rosh Hashanah, and vice versa. They had stores that directly, like on Rodeo Drive, the store that opens up to Rodeo Drive. So the stores were open directly with Rosh Hashanah. So when the key is below Asara, maybe Maftech Me'erev Shabbos, they bring the key from Erev Shabbos, Banichel Baskufa, they would put it on the porch, which was like a Mokum tour, because it's less than Arba Tfachim. Then they would open up their market, their store, and bring it back to these Kufa. If it's above Asar, which is in Rosh Hashanah, so maybe Maftech Me'erev Shabbos, Banichel B'manu, he puts it in the lock. He opens it up and puts it back where it was in Reb Meir. You have to bring it, maybe Maftech Me'erev Shabbos, Menichel B'skufa. Again, you use this Mokum P'tur. If there was a window, which makes it Rosh Hashanah, Osir. You're taking from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah. Now that's a long baraisa. Here comes the proof. From the fact that you said, and the same din applies to markets, Michlal, the Biskufas Carmelis Askina. So we're talking about a Carmelis. So, and Abimana Lechidami, where's the lock? Either less by Arba, if there's less than 4 Tvachim, Makam P'turbu. There shouldn't be any problem. And if it's 4, it would be doing it from Rishus Harabim directly to Rishus Hayachid. All the Chalot Shagabe Pesach, V'Makal Kametata Mekarmel is Rishus Hayachid. So Rabbi Lo Olam de Ein Bo Arba. It is. It's not 4 by 4. However, in the window, Yeshbo Lochok L'Shlimu Arba. By adding the window, you could say now it is Arba. And the machlokas between Rab Meir and the Chacham is something else. The Rab Meir do we use this principle that it's a principle of roying? When you add the window and this area, can you be mashlim it or not? So on Rav Bibi Barabai, Shmamina, we learn at least 3 things from the Bryce we just learned. Shmamina chakikin lahashlim. We do go, if you have a window, a makam less than arba ba'alba, but it's open to a window, it makes it a larger area to make it a Rishus Hayachid. That's number 1. Shmamina adar hadar be Rab Meir misharigina. That Rab Meir changed his mind by Sharigina, was more Mekel than he was in the Mishnah. Shmamina min Rabbanan ism Rav Dimi. That Rabbanan hold Rav Dimi. It's a Makam P'tur. A place that is less than 4 by 4 is a Makam P'tur. Therefore, the people for Rosh Hashanah can put things down on it, and the people for Rosh Hashanah can put down things on it, as long as they don't switch and transfer things from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah, derech that Makam P'tur.
Well, let me ask you, we're going back before, what difference does it make if it's a wool a merchant or a butcher? Why should that be? What's the difference in that?
No, merchant of wool. It was not. There's no different than halacha. He just said that the lemaisa was the mitzias was different.
Oh, so but halacha no difference. Seems to apply that, since it's a matter of fact. Okay,
just matter of fact.
All right.
Mishnah. Neger sheyesh barosha glustra. Their keys, it was like a stick with a knob on it. And they would stick it, it was like a bolt. Rabbi Eliezer Oyser, Rabbi Yosef Matir. Could you put it into the door, or is it too much like binyan? Or is it like a kli and it's not a problem? So Eliezer prohibited, Rabbi Yossi permitted. Rabbi Eliezer, Maisa b'knesset shebetveria, shayu nohagim boheter. They would allow you to use the bull. Achabar Gamliel vazkenim v'asulam. But Rabbi Yossi Omer Isser nohagu bo. The minig was to Aser. Ubara Gamliel vazkenim v'tirulan. They eventually came to be matli. So the Gemara will analyze the Mishnah. We'll do this tomorrow.
Go ahead.
So Mirza Hashem, tomorrow is 8 o'clock.